As we're back in on a Monday to the hottest show on the streets, the best form of Alabama football news, notes, and information. In my own words, we discuss the superstars, the two hires Nick Saban made prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, that being David Ballou and Dr. Matt Rhea, coming from the Indiana Hoosiers, Indiana University, and ever since the hires were made for both guys, with Ballou being the director of sports performance, Dr. Rhea being the director of performance science, Coach Saban has raved nothing but praise. He has showered, I should say, nothing but praise on these two individuals, in which they deserve it, because they have come in here to the University of Alabama. They have laid down some groundwork. They have brought in their philosophy, their training philosophy, their speed philosophy, their right sleep pattern, right eating pattern philosophy, and the players are bought in. Players are really enjoying and loving what's being done. Yes, it's different. It's not like what Scott Cochran had it the last 13 years prior to now, but they like the newness, they like the difference, they like the uniqueness, they like the challenge that Ballou and Matt Rhea are putting on, each and every last one of those guys being the players. And while last week Alabama was supposed to have had its annual spring game, its A-Day game from Bryant-Denny, Coach Saban was on the Crimson2go Sports Network out of Learfield, and the voice of the network is Eli Gold. And Gold spoke to Saban on, for the average run-of-the-mill fan, for the average Alabama fan that may not be that familiar with Ballou and Rhea, talk to us about those two. What made you so adamant? What made you so sure, so confident, so comfortable that this was the right move to bring into the program? And Saban talked about how he had known Ballou and Rhea for the last 4 to 5 years. He studied what they did at IMG and improving the speed training, improving the injury prevention. So he had studied those guys for the last 4 to 5 years. He saw what they did at Notre Dame. He saw what they did at Indiana, and he said those two guys were light years above everybody else, light years ahead of everybody else in the game when you discuss injury prevention, speed training, performance training, sleep patterns, making sure every athlete is at their tip-top shape, their tip-top physical condition. And Saban discussed how Alabama, much like other programs, was still stuck in the old way of doing things, just having the traditional, typical strength coach. And although he appreciated what Scott Cochran did, as much as we all appreciated what Cochran did, Saban was, for a while, looking at a different direction. He was wanting to take, a different turn. And he had interviewed other coaches that were just simply strength coaches. He had even requested the help of guys in the NFL to understand, why are we having all of these injuries? Why are we having all of these season-ending, mishaps? What is the problem here? And he came to grips with, maybe Alabama needs to have a new outlook on this and bring in individuals that are savvy with the technology, keen on the analytics, and look at things from a different perspective. So here is Ballou and Dr. Rhea, and according to Saban, the players have had no issues, no problems, no negative circumstances. Guys have been fine with their academics. Guys have been fine with the Zoom meetings, as the NCAA has relaxed the restrictions on that. At one point, you can have 2 hours of chalk talk and coaches meetings and player meetings, but now it's 8 hours. So you can really, run through some film, run through some training, run through some productivity to get you prepared to get on the field for a football season. Definitely crossing all fingers in hopes that we do have football in the coming fall. But one of the things I like about Dr. Rhea, just in particular, is he looks at the sleep of these players. His whole mindset is, if you get 8 hours of sleep, right? If you get 8 hours of sleep and you perform at the maximum effort all of your other drills, your weight drills, your speed drills, your workouts that we that we set out for you on the iPhone and on the Apple Watch, you get 8 hours of sleep and do your appropriate workouts, you're going to be at 100%. You're going to be able to have maximum effort versus if you get 7 hours of sleep but do all the drills, it drops 10%. And then 6 hours of sleep, it drops another 10%, and then so on and so forth. So his whole idea of you got to have the right amount of sleep, and then that right amount of sleep will transition into you having that peak performance. That's pretty interesting. That's a pretty big deal there when you discuss how all those analytics play out. So it's really fascinating how he goes into sleep sleep playing a big role in the way you perform on the field, the way you perform in the weight room, the way you perform in everything. So he takes that aspect. In terms of David Ballou, when he looks at the whole thing of peak power, of which we had Zach Osterman on the show a few weeks back talking about how he doesn't want these guys just squatting weights or just maxing out reps on the bench. He wants you to do it in fast time. How quickly can you do it? How fast can you do it? Because if you can't do it in the time allotted, then what good is it? We're trying to do it at a fast time so that, we can be the aggressor on the offensive line, or we can be the aggressor on the defensive line, or we can be the aggressor at any position of the choosing due to we're able to maximize it at pinpoint accuracy, at pinpoint precision, at a pinpoint time. And Saban also mentioned how both guys are highly observant in workouts. Like, they look at the workouts, they track the data, and from that data, they manipulate, do we need this? Do we not need this? If we need this, how much more action do we put on it? How much more force do we put on it? How much more time do we spend on it? If we need it and somebody's struggling with it, what can we give them? What exercise, what workout, what maneuver, what intervention can we have with this particular player to catch that player up to speed? Or if it's not really conducive to what we're trying to do as a football team, then Alabama does not have need of it. So very intriguing how these two individuals have come in here. They have laid a solid, firm impact of what we're going to do in the speed system, in the training system, in the injury prevention system, and making sure Alabama gets back to being a dominant team. So like Saban said, light years ahead of everybody else being Ballou and Dr. Ray. But download the Touchdown Alabama Magazine app. You can get this from the iPhone App Store if you're rocking Team Apple, Google Play Store if you just so happen to have the Android phone. The podcast options, if your audio listening pleasures just so happen to be iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Overcast.fm, TuneIn Radio, Google Play, or iHeartRadio, we have you covered. Just to be reminded, Crimson Tide fans, be sure to subscribe to Touchdown Alabama Magazine on YouTube. Be sure to go to YouTube, hit that subscribe button on Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Once you hit the subscribe button, you hit the all notifications bell so you can be up to date getting all the insight from the shows we provide to you. So hit the all notifications bell. If you are one of those that have subscribed or is subscribed and you're still having trouble getting those notifications, then hit the none bell, let it rest for a few seconds, and then go back to hit the all notifications bell just to make sure that you are getting those. So we want to keep you updated on your Crimson Tide. If the good and gracious Lord sees fit, I will return on Wednesday, continuing the conversation that is Alabama football. We'll be joined by former Tide receiver Matt Caddell as we break down our mock draft. But leave you with my final three things here. Husbands, love your wives. Wives, value, appreciate your husbands. Children, get that work done. Try ways to legitimately not be bored. Keep yourself entertained. Get those 3 hearty meals a day, those 3 great laughs a day. Protect yourself, protect the loved ones around you. Until next time, folks, I'm your man, Stephen M. Smith, and this has been In My Own Words. Thank you for watching Touchdown Alabama Magazine's YouTube channel. To continue to get the best of the Alabama football content, subscribe here and turn on your notifications to stay connected with the hottest shows covering your Crimson Tide.